What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for another One Piece review. The Voyage continues with episode 1097. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to join the council and become part of the crew. Ladies and gentlemen, with all that being said, the council is now in session. Let the meeting begin. All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining me for another week of One Piece. As always, I hope everybody's doing super fantastic. So for this week, we got the 1097 discussion, but before we get into all that, I have a very important announcement. We've been grinding this one out for a while, but we finally hit 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So I want to thank everybody who's been watching and supporting us so far. It means a lot. I also do want to take this time to let everybody know that, for everybody that found us from the One Piece videos and all that, hey, everybody doing? I'm Ace. But I don't do this channel / podcast alone. I actually do this podcast with my friend McMillian. We have a weekly podcast where we put out weekly episodes talking about in-season shows and keeping up with the latest anime news every week. So if you guys want to check out some of that content as well, that'd be great. But if you're just here for the One Piece content, then that is great as well. Regardless, we love that you're here. But yeah, so let's get into the review. All right, One Piece episode 1097, The Will of Ohara, The Inherited Research. So I think there was a few things just like in 1096 that we can discuss about and talk here. So let's go ahead and hop into this. So, we start this episode off continuing the flashback of Dr.VegaPunk, visiting the island to pay his respects to Dr. Clover and the researchers of Ohara after the incident. And right off the bat, beginning of this episode, I got hit with a curveball. As you guys know from the 1096 review, I was like, oh yeah, Vegapunk gave the books to Dragon for safekeeping. Wrong, right? So at the beginning of the flashback, at the beginning of this episode, right, we found out that there was a group of giants from Elbaf that actually came over to grab up all the books and keep them and guard them and take them back to Elbaf for safekeeping, right? Also during that time, we saw two familiar faces as well. The first one being Hazrudin. This was the giant that we actually met in Dressrosa, and if I'm not mistaken, he's also part of the Straw Hat Fleet as well. But at first I thought this man was Dory, but then I was like, no, that can't be Dory, right? Because Dory was on that island for 100 years or whatever. So I was like, yeah, no, that can't be Dory. But then it hit me. I was like, okay, yeah, I know this is the giant we saw on that we met on Dressrosa. And then the second person, the / familiar face, our guy is still alive. Saul, after all this time, he is still alive. He did not perish. That is amazing. That warmed my heart. But now I ask this question: did Aokiji save Saul's life on purpose, or was this just something that happened to he just ended up surviving? Because as we all know, Aokiji ended up helping Robin escape the island after during the destruction that was going on and all that stuff, right? So did he actually free Saul in order to kind of save his life? No, who knows? But speaking of Aokiji, anyways, I still find it crazy that this man teamed up with Blackbeard. I don't know, man. That's just still wild to me, because just like what is the reason? Like, out of all the people that you could have you chose Blackbeard. But nonetheless, I digress, right? So yeah, our boy Saul, he's still alive, so beautiful, love that. With all that being said, now that we know that the books from Ohara are indeed in Elbaf, I say this does slightly strengthen my theory on the last road poneglyph being in Elbaf. Of course, it doesn't confirm this, but I definitely say it strengthens it, because also in this flashback, Dragon mentions that the giants, they knew the importance of the books. So, but no, once again, just the fact that the books are in Elbaf, I think that strengthens my theory too. Saying that the potentially the last road poneglyph is there, right? Because once again, what better place to hide it and protect it than with an island full of giants, right? I mean, come on now. But also during this flashback, we got some more insight to Dr. Vegapunk's and Dragon's relationship, right? So apparently at one point, Dragon actually tried to get Dr. Vegapunk to join at the time where they were called the Freedom Fighters, right? To join the Dragon and his Freedom Fighters, but inevitably, Dr. Vegapunk ended up turning him down and ended up joining the world government because at the end of the day, he needed money, for his research and stuff like that. The Revolutionary Army slash the rebels, they didn't have no money. They couldn't support his research. He's a scientist. At the end, even though Dr. Vegapunk does have a good heart. I mean, at the end of the day, that man's a scientist, so he needed his money for his research. So I guess that kind of leads into the where I was talking about earlier, on an arc, whether he was with the government of his own free will. It does seem that is the case. He joined the government of his own free will to, basically, fund his research, right? So there's that. But also, we learned that Dragon came to the island to actually visit Dr. Clover. So that dispels all the crazy is that, man, did he come to see what's her name, Robin's mother's Robin's mother grave and all this. So that dispelled all that crazy talk I was talking about in 1096, thankfully. But that still would have been wild though if that was the case. But no, he came to visit Dr. Clover. And we also get to see Dr. Dragon talk about how this situation really impacted him and really put a hold on him, because he goes to further explain it. He's like, these researchers, they was just trying to research history and stuff like that, and the world government came and met them with violence and crushed them with violence. But fuck all that. I'm gonna build an army. I'm gonna fight for them. So kind of a classic stand up for the little guy story, really. But yeah, this was one of the, not necessarily the main event that kind of pushed him, because apparently he was already a freedom fighter, fighting against the world government, right? But this was one of the main catalysts that pushed him to go and join up and create the Revolutionary Army with both Kuma and Ivankov after the incident of Ohara. So that's just crazy. But yes, so I wanted more Dragon lore this arc, and we definitely got some more this episode as well. So that's great. I'm pretty sure we're not done hearing more about Dragon, because I know Vegapunk probably has some more information that he wants to tell Luffy or whatnot, maybe about his dad, who knows. But amazing. So in this episode, not only did we learn about Dragon and his relationship with Vegapunk, we also learned more about Dr. Vegapunk himself as well. So for example, we learned about more how he's a perfectionist, in his craft and everything. He mentions that the devil fruit that he made at Punk Hazard, he made it from Kaido's bloodline elements, and ultimately he considered that the fruit to be a failure. But of course, in a hilarious fashion, the reason why this man considered the fruit to be a failure was all because of the colors. Dragon in the end, as we all know, Momo is a pink dragon. And I guess Dr. Vegapunk doesn't think that's really cool and everything, so he's just like, oh yeah, see, it's a failure. The color of the dragon's pink. Yeah, that was hilarious. That's probably my favorite scene from 1097. So yeah, favorite scene in 1097, that whole scene right there where Dr. Vegapunk was talking about the fruit that he made at Punkhouse and all that, and how it was a failure. But this is like the second or third time that they mentioned bloodline elements. And if I'm understanding correctly, at least from my understanding, bloodline elements, at least in One Piece, is just like a fancy word of saying DNA. That's how I've been taking it. So I don't think it go Whole Cake Island there. We go Whole Cake Island with Sanji's dad and everything. I think that's when we first heard about bloodline elements. But yeah, I think it's just a fancy word for DNA. But in addition to this man being born a genius, he also ate a devil fruit. And of course he did. Of course he did. But he ate the brain fruit, and the brain fruit gives him the ability to memorize all kinds of knowledge without limit. But the downside is that it actually, for as much data capacity that he learns and it contains inside his brain keeps growing and growing. It just keeps getting larger, which is crazy. So that explains why Egghead used to have that fat ass head on top of him. But what's even more interesting in this episode, he also revealed that like the Punk Records little logo or sign that's under the big egg at the HQ, in the top of the clouds at the sky, right? He said that was his brain's data capacity. So was he saying, like, in the literal sense, those words, Punk Records, that was under the egg, was like those words in itself is the data capacity? Or does my man just have his brain somewhere in a giant tube somewhere, back in the HQ up there, But I don't know. But I guess this ain't no telling. At least from what it was, how it was explained, it looks like the logo of Punk Records could be the actual database, and that's what all the satellites are connected to. So, well, yeah, I guess before I go jump into that, Dr. Vegapunk also further explains this episode how well, we kind of already gathered that, but each of the satellites have a specific job, and they're their own person, and they are a piece of a personality of him, and all together they compromise Dr. Vegapunk's personality. And once a day they all upload their experience and their knowledge from from the day to the data bank, to Punk Records, which is crazy. So they get he's getting all the information of six people's worth every single day. Just amazing. He goes further to explain that, kind of like, you could think of his brain in Punk Records, the data bank, right, as a library, and that if he could give all of mankind the ability to actually access this, his brain and his data bank, right, it would be like everybody has gained his knowledge. And essentially, it's basically the internet. Oda essentially put the modern day internet inside of One Piece, which is cool. How he kind of made that connection, because you can go on the internet and learn anything. That's what the internet is. It's a vast wealth sea of knowledge. You can literally learn anything on the internet. So I like how Oda tied that together. That's cool. But more than likely, not while we're on the subject of just him giving the ability to anybody to access the data bank, that will probably be his awakening for his fruit, just for the ability for anybody to access his data bank and his brain, the knowledge all in his brain and all that, right? That would more than likely be his awakening. But yeah, Vegapunk's dream of creating this vast sea of knowledge by connecting everyone to his brain is essentially the modern day internet. So I thought that was cool. But we round off the episode with Luffy telling Vegapunk to activate this giant robot that he's been messing with for the past few episodes. But Vegapunk goes to explain, I didn't make this this iron giant is actually from the past, and it was said to be the giant that attacked Marie Joie 200 years ago, which is crazy because I think this is the first time we're hearing of somebody attack Marie Joie besides the recent attack where Sabo went and invaded to get Kuma back, right? But other than that, I think this is like our first time of hearing of somebody attacking Marie Joie. So I wonder who did it, or did the giant robot kind of activate by itself, or maybe it was like on a timer or something. That'll be interesting to see. Definitely 100%. But we round the episode off with our boy Lucci donning his mask. Vegapunk, I'm here to eliminate you. CP0 is here. I cannot wait till they touch down and let the good hands commence, boy. Oh, I can't wait for the Lucci versus Luffy fight, man. I can't wait for that. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, CP0, they're finally entered into Egghead waters. Next episode looks like we in the preview for 1098 we saw them taking out a bunch of those sea, I guess you can call them sea monsters. I guess like cyborg sea monsters that Dr. Vegapunk made. So yeah, that's cool. They're here. Like I said, can't wait till they actually touch down foot on the island though. But as well as in the 1098 review, we also saw look like maybe the same giant robot, the Iron Giant, right? I'm referring back to the giant robot that Luffy and them was messing with, right? Seems like Luffy may have activated that by accident or something from the scenes in the 1098 preview. So I'm going ahead and call it now. Luffy probably activates the robot by using his Conqueror's Haki, even if it's only for a little bit. But I'm definitely interested to see if the robot was acting like on its own will, or did somebody like cut it on 200 years ago to attack Marie Joie, because that's interesting. I wonder who did that. But I think the craziest thing out of this episode was definitely just learning more about Dr. Vegapunk and just how actually his brain works is it's just wild. But that was all I had for the 1097 review, and I also lied at the beginning of today's episode, because the 1097 is not all I have for you guys today. I also have a sneak peek of the Wano finale discussion that I did with a couple of my friends from the Blurred Mod podcast. So please go ahead and check that out.
like, bro, y'all making up stuff though. Let's keep it a real. Let's keep it a $150. The most valuable people on that crew. It is 5 valuable people on that crew. The visionary Luffy, the person who keep you alive, Chopper, the person who can sail the sea, None. Then we got the person who cook, Sanji, and the person who actually can goddamn build the boat and keep it alive, Frankie. Robin's cool for plot because we need to get the poneglyphs and get to the island. What do Usopp offer?
He helps.
And they all drove the boat.
He helps with the boat.
They all drove the. Oh, he drove the boat,
Wait, no,
right? So that means we don't need Jinbei. That means we don't need Jinbei, right?
I'm talking about when he was cutting to the construction. Usopp helped with that too. You know,
All of them helped.
but Usopp took
All of them.
He took
I
care
hate
of
Chopper
going
held
there.
a piece of wood.
You know what?
Go in
I
there.
really
Go
hate
in
that he
there.
has a compelling argument for this right now. I really hate
Chopper
that.
Chopper held more wood and blocks than Usopp ever
We'll
did.
give you Usopp. We'll give you Usopp.
So that's what I'm saying. Jinbei job could be replaced. The Jinbei job could be replaced by 3 people, but okay, he's more valuable than Usopp. I'll give you
He's
that.
valuable
So
in
let's
the
get rid of.
water.
Thank you. He's valuable
And
in
Brook,
the water.
and
what the
Brook,
hell we go to
he's
show?
not valuable at all.
But
Brook,
he bring
okay, Brook, he can sword fight.
I guess, the thing, all I was saying was he brought a skill, musician. It may not be as important, but that was a skill and something that Luffy wanted himself on the
He
crew.
did want
Luffy
that.
wanted a musician.
Oh, cool. And Carrot is a whole Sulong who also can communicate, who has a whole army of creatures who got Sulong powers follow behind her. And also, Luffy would have wanted her to come
But
too.
her group wouldn't be with her at all times.
Too.
You know that. Her group would not be with her at all times.
And okay, and Luffy's fleet gets expanded. And if we add Vivi and Carrot, boom, now we got a fleet manager.
Can
Kick Usopp out.
Can she only go to
Usopp
a
was the one
forum on the full moon?
something like that.
Yeah.
And to be
It's
and
anime.
also
There's a full
to be
moon.
fair,
Animes have full moons
and
in
matter of
every
fact,
other
also
episode.
to be fair, while you talking shit about Usopp was the one who created Nami's baton for her. He designed that. Usopp designed that.
She got a whole big mom cloud working for her now.
Hold on, let me stand up at least for my boy Usopp a little bit. He made it Nami's weapon, and then he's the main reason we was able to get a decent ship when we first started our travel.
Okay, so he's expired now. Basically, he's not valuable anymore. Basically, he's just there for comedic humor now. He's not as strong as Carrot. Vivi could beat Usopp in a fight. So what else is he here for now?
In the future, he's gonna be the strongest observation hockey user. It ain't happened yet, but it's coming.
And he's the one crew member that betrayed the captain without the intention to save him, like Sanji. Because when Sanji betrayed the captain, it was with the intention to
I really
save
hate
his
he's
crew.
coming up with
Usopp left because of a boat.
He got them
Usopp left
kind of arguments now. But listen, I don't know what else to tell you. Usopp's just that guy, and he's also one of the original 5. You gonna kick out one of the original?
What does the original 5 got to do with anything?
Yeah, just the original. I'm an OG. That's what it's just that. It's just I'm an OG. That's the only thing you got to do with it. I'm an OG.
He's grandfather.
If I could trade Usopp for Vivi and Carrot, I would. If I could trade Usopp and Brook,
I would not go.
If I could trade Usopp and Brook for Vivi, Carrot, and Bon Clay, I would. I would.
Well, I like Usopp.
I think they all should be on the boat. Don't get me wrong.
I hope you all enjoyed that sneak peek of the Wano discussion there. That's all I have for this episode. So I will see you all next week. Peace.